Hi guys, this is Vu here. Sorry it's been a while since my last video. I've just been busy mainly working on some side projects. And today I'm going to show you some of some of the side projects that I've been working on. And it's called CookCountyTaxCompare.com. So many of you guys know I live in Cook County, and the main city in Cook County is Chicago. And this is my family right here. And within my website, I have three web apps. One is a loan maturity tool, which calculates your loan and how much interest and principal you have within that loan. Another one is this real estate ROI tool. I use it and I tell my friends to use it in order to calculate the ROI from investment properties. And the main tool that I've built, the main web app that I've built is this property tax appeal tool. So let's take a look. We'll start off with the property tax appeal tool. So in here, you can enter any of the addresses, any of the 1.8 million addresses in Cook County. And my database has all of them. So let's enter an address in Skokie. And the radius will send to 1 mile. We'll click calculate comps. So basically what this does is calculate all the comparable properties within this address, within this 1 mile radius of this address, using Cook County's taxable numbers and seeing how this property compares to the comps and whether you should appeal or not. So in this case, for this address right here, it suggests we should appeal. And the reason is that our taxable value is 5.5% higher than the average comps. And there are 26 comps that my web app has found that compares to this property. And this is the description of the property. It is a single family, 1,600 square foot residential home with 3 beds and 2 baths. And the county assigns it a taxable value of $41,000 versus a $38,850 for the comps around. It was appealed in 2024, but the result was no change in the tax amount. So this is suggesting that you should appeal for 2025. This also gives all the comparable comps on the comps right here, along with all their descriptions, all their attributes and features. So you can use this, download it, and send it to the county. So when you appeal your taxes, you can say, hey, these are all the comparable properties within my radius. They have lower taxable values than mine. Please lower my property tax, and hopefully this helps. Let's try another address. And let's lower the radius to 1/2 mile, and we click calculate comps. So this is my old address in Skokie, and then this is currently computing all the comparable properties. So it says, yes, you should appeal because it's been greater than 3 years since my last appeal. It tells you all the features with it. For here, there's only 4 comparable properties in the radius, and the reason is that for this property, there's the pin proration rate is only 0.5, so that means there's 2 pins associated with this property, which is pretty unique. And so since there's only 4, we should increase the radius, try to find more matches, and then we can submit those to the county. So here, 1 mile is still only 4. We can increase it again to 2 miles. Oh, now it's found a lot more. So in this case, it's found about 10 comparable properties, and you can submit this to the county on your appeal. So let's take a look at the other web apps. One is this loan maturity tool. So let's say you buy your property and you take out a $350,000 loan for 30 years at 7% interest rate. So this calculates that your monthly payment would be $2,328. Over the life of your loan, you'll be paying $488,000 interest off this $350,000 loan for a total payment of $838,281. So most of this loan will be paid out in interest, and you can kind of see what your payment plan will be like. So your $2,300 monthly payment, most of it is interest in this red line, and only after about 21 years in the year 2045, late 2045, will your interest and principal be equal to each other. This seems pretty much unfair, right? So the reason is the interest rates are so high. So because interest rates are high right now, let's play around with it. Let's see what happens if it's 3% interest rate. You can see that the lines cross much earlier. So your monthly payment is no longer $2,300, but it's actually $1,475. So you actually save about $700 or more than $750 a month in your monthly mortgage payment just from saving from interest payments. And your interest and principal, they equal each other in the year 2032, which is 7 years instead of 21 years. So that's pretty crazy how 4%, lower 4% interest affects your monthly payment. So let's say you go back to the 7% interest rate, but you have an extra $1,000 a month currently, and you want to pay that to your mortgage. So you want to do that for 12 months? Let's see what happens. So your monthly payment stays the same, but your interest paid is actually going to decrease. And over here, your total interest rate saved is going to be $72,500. So you're paying $12,000 in additional principal, but you actually save $72,000, so 6x that. And you'll pay it off your loan in 27 years rather than 30 years. So this shows that for a higher interest rate environment, you should try to pay off as much principal as you can in the beginning, because this saves a lot of money in the long run. So let's say you do it for 24 months. So you save $126,000. And this is what your chart will look like, your loan maturity chart will look like. So rather than the year 2045, it'll be equal around December 2039. And this shows your extra $1,000 a month of monthly payment, and then dropping after you're done with those payments in the first 2 years. And so I think this is pretty useful. I've shown it a lot to my family members and friends to show them what they should do when they take out a loan, and show them how much overall interest and principal that they're paying. It seems pretty simple, but it's very helpful. It's just to have a tool like this for anyone to use. And so you guys just come here, cookcountytaxcompare.com/loan. So the third tool that I have is this real estate ROI tool. So let's say you're buying a property. Let's say it's a $900,000 commercial property, and you're putting 5% down, and closing costs will cost you about $30,000. And you're taking out a 20-year loan at 7.5% interest rate. Let's say the S&P, which is the stock market rate, is 9% right now. This is just used to compare what would happen if you use your money and invest it in the stock market rather than the property. And your monthly rent total is $5,000, water is $200 a month, electric is $100, insurance $600, taxes $1,000, management $500, vacancy and repairs are $500 per month. Let's see what happens. Is this property worth it at these numbers? So like I said, your monthly revenue is only $5,000. This is how much you're collecting in rent. But hold up, your monthly mortgage payment is $6,900 almost. So there already, it doesn't make any sense unless you're just buying it for the equity and building equity, because your monthly payment, mortgage payment, is already higher than your revenue. Your break-even rent that you're going to need is $8,700, and this doesn't include the principal you're going to pay. So the number you should be looking at is break-even with principal. So at this price, you would need at least $10,390 for this property to break even after the mortgage payments. So after your interest and after your principal. Your cap rate is only at 2%, and your first year profit is negative $45,000. So let's say what happens if you increase this. Well, actually, before that, let's take a look at your ROI chart versus the stock market returns. So this is what happens when you put in the stock market. This $32,000, and over 20 years, you would have $168,000 at 9% interest rate. So here, this is your property. Over 20 years, you're actually losing almost $500,000 based off these numbers. So it doesn't make any sense. So let's say you increase your monthly rent to $10,389, like it says in this break even with principal. What happens? Well, now your NOI, net operating income percent, pretty much your profit, is going to be 111%. This is profit based off of your initial investment. Your cap rate is 9.32%. So the average cap rate for properties is usually between 3 to 5%. Anything above that is really good, especially if you could find in a really nice area. Your first year profit is about $20,000. And let's take a look at the chart. What happens? Well, the axis, the two lines actually, they cross each other very early after 1 year. So that means your property real estate returns outperforms your S&P 500 returns after 1 year. So after 20 years, again, we make $168,000 investing in the S&P 500 versus $813,000 buying this property if it has a return of $10,389. So in this case, it's very clear. And if you have properties like that and you want to play around with it and see how much profit and cash flow you have, and if you want to compare it with the stock market and whether it makes sense to purchase this property or not, use this tool. It's called cookcountytaxcompare.com/ROI. And again, my name is Vu, and I created this website, cookcountytaxcompare.com, and it has 3 web apps in here that should help you as a real estate investor or property owner, or just a guy that just doesn't want to pay property taxes and wants to lower it. Use this tool and let your friends know about it. It's completely free, and